So I'm John Williams. I am not talking about my career today, although I am in a security role. I have been doing computer security, info security for 20 years or so, and a variety of really fun topics. I'm currently working on Internet of Things, SCADA, OT. I've done what they call incident response. So if a hacker gets in, somebody needs to figure out what happened, where did it happen, what's being affected, how do we deal with it and recover. If publicity gets out, we need to coordinate with the communications office to make sure that they're saying the right things. I also did computer forensics for about a decade, and basically what happened there is, if somebody did something bad on the inside and we think we know that they did it, they get the computer, I pull a hard drive out, and then kind of like, I don't know if it's NCIS or CSI, I would go through and I would look for evidence whether they did or did not do what they were accused of. I am one of the co-founders of CornCon. I am the founder, and I was the head of the children of the CornCon for the first 3 years. The last couple of years I've had to step down for a while due to some health issues. I am really enthusiastic about education and helping kids learn stuff because, as JD was saying, we have negative unemployment. And your parents know what that means, even if you don't. We need jobs to be filled, and the best way that we can do this is we start the talent pipeline early. You guys. And so I really, really believe in this. So likewise, if you've got questions and you see me around today, feel free to stop me, ask me whatever you want, and I will try to answer. Now, having said all of that, today I'm going to talk about inventing. And basically, it's easy, except when it's not. So, just to make sure you guys are engaged, what is inventing? Anybody want to give me a... Go ahead.
Inventing means making a new thing to help the world, possibly?
Okay. I'm going to call on you later because you're my kid, and it's not fair. Anybody else got any ideas?
The creation of something new that can be a rip-off of something to cause some sort of benefit.
Okay. Seeing a trend here, we definitely think that inventing involves something new. Any other ideas? Not you, Hermione. Anything else? We agree, we disagree, we're awake. Okay, so yes, inventing is definitely creating something new. I'll get later on to the helping the world. Inventing is creating or designing something that's not been done before. Preferably, it would be not just copying something, because the idea is you're doing something that is new. And there are lots of things that are inventions. There is nothing in this room besides people that was not invented. And sometimes we're so used to it that it's hard to think that this table is an invention. So, next interactive bit. How about inventions? What's your favorite invention? And this time I'm going to make you go around the room. What's your favorite thing that's been invented?
Computer.
Oh, good answer.
Good.
How about you?
iPad.
Yeah, I like that.
So, yeah, I'm probably just going to stick with the trend, electronics, yes.
Okay.
Chairs that are comfy and lean back.
Oh,
Yes.
and you don't know yet, when you become a professional and you sit in these things 8 hours a day, you'll really appreciate
Or
it.
standing desks, but like,
Mm.
the
Yes.
reason they were invented was because, was it Jefferson?
Mm.
Like, some famous historical figure didn't like the hard chair, so he's like, you know what, get pads, you're not doing this anymore.
You should move up to a comfortable, more comfortable.
Well, yeah, because these are actually really nice. So.
No, maybe someone historically.
Yeah. Yeah, come on in. I mean, we got, if you want to sit behind, there's one in the corner over there. You can, suck up to the teacher and sit here, whatever. All right, so really, yeah, go ahead.
Yay.
Feel free. Oh, sorry, I forgot to get back to you. What was your answer, now that I've given the answer?
I was going to say, there are good forms and bad forms of inventing. Like, people have been going about electronics, cars, comfy chairs. But there are also bad things. For example, the gun, the nuclear bomb, weapons of mass destruction. Not good.
Yep. Okay. You were going to add something?
I was gonna say nuclear bomb, anything to hurt, I mean, necessarily guns could be a good invention because it helps us protect ourselves from what could be out there.
Mhm.
If you're like, going, let me see here, for example, if you're going into the forest at night and there may be wolves or anything worse.
Yeah. Bears or
Yeah.
unicorns. Yeah.
There are good and bad sides to everything, just like
Yes.
in technology and in everyday life. So while there are good and bad sides to a gun, the same thing applies to technology.
Exactly.
Also-
Very good answer.
If you think about it, computers are as dangerous as guns.
And potentially even more so, because with a gun, I can shoot a person. With computers, I
You
can
can
knock
hack
the
into
power out.
government and then you can like take all the money out of a bank and then you can also make sure no one will ever be able to use electronics ever again.
Or
Which
shut off the power to a
Yeah.
hospital.
Yes.
Oh, gee.
Do you guys know that it is actually more profitable in a bad way to do cybercrime than it is to use a gun to rob a bank today? That
Yes.
more crime occurs in the cyber world than in the physical world.
And it's interesting how crime has changed due to technology. And this is a not so subtle plug. My boy is actually going to talk about an aspect of that in his talk today. All right, so didn't realize you were back there. So how about you?
VR goggles. are
Oh,
pretty cool.
yes. Have you tried in the other room?
Not yet.
Get in there.
VR?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's VR.
Paul's got it.
Yes.
Even better than that, they've got Beat Saber.
They do?
Oh, it's an amazing game.
It's, do you play the drums or do you play percussion? It's like.
Yeah, it's a rhythm game like
Yeah, I'm not good at
Like-
Guitar Hero,
And you have like
And
two
you make boxes.
lightsabers type
Yes.
thing, and you hit the
and
same
you hit the
way.
blocks in a certain direction.
Yeah, because
And
sometimes
y'all are gonna have to fight me off because I love that game.
I'm not good, I'm probably not good.
No, that's fine.
Right.
And I look like a total dork when I play. So, it's-
People
All right.
have,
so how about you? What's your favorite invention?
oh, the Rubik's Cube,
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
like,
I have to admit, there's just too many choices. I can't decide.
Okay,
That's true.
yeah, it's definitely true. All right, any of the adults wanna kick something in?
Actually, I'm going to change my answer. Tape.
Like duct tape?
Yes, the tape and mouth strap.
Duct tape is a good option. I mean, it's amazing stuff. Right.
My son wants me to say the Lucas device. I'm a nurse, and what the Lucas device is it does CPR for you. And I was just
Oh.
showing him on
Put it
YouTube.
on, I've
Yep.
seen it, you put
Mhm.
it on your chest
And it does the
self-pumps.
CPR so you can assist in other ways.
Oh, so it's the pump thing, not
It
like
actually,
the
it
defibrillator?
actually, no, it
Okay.
actually goes around the body and
Oh,
it does
sweet.
CPR.
I didn't know those existed.
I was just showing him on YouTube, so that's
Yeah.
why he wanted me to.
So you don't have to remember the song Staying Alive?
No.
Cool. Very.
Planes, I love traveling, so I'm a big, from planes to spaceship, there's a lot of opportunities for me.
And that's a good one. I love traveling, but I like road trips.
Yeah.
Road trips are amazing.
Color.
There, they have some scientists in California who are working on a thing called the Hyperloop, which will
Yes.
replace trains,
Mhm.
and it uses magnetics, so
Maglev and vacuum tubes.
and it would be in a tube, so it could technically go underground.
Yes.
To replace subways.
Go
This is
underwater.
Elon Musk,
Yeah.
and he
Oh, the boring part.
amusingly named the company the Boring Company.
That is amazing.
I'm
Wow.
still trying to find a flamethrower.
One of the guys, so in addition to this day, yesterday we had a part of this conference that was just for the adults. And it was generally targeted at people who are in the profession. And then the day before that was part of our educational outreach for high school students. And one of the guys that I was working with on Thursday, my math is bad, said that he's trying to figure out how to be allowed to bring in his, it's not a blowtorch, or not a flamethrower, because he's got one of Elon's flamethrowers. And on YouTube, there was just recently a video of somebody using one of those flamethrowers and another guy standing behind a shield of aerogel. And aerogel is awesome stuff.
It's the lightest solid.
Yes, and it's got amazing heat properties. And it's an invention.
Invention.
Any other adults have a? I'm gonna go last. I've got one that I know about.
I guess mine would be, it's kind of cliche, but the internet itself,
Mhm.
allowing us to do so many things.
Yes. Mhm.
So,
Yep, got another one.
So the thing is, I really like, it's not really a big thing, but like the light bulb. I just
Mhm.
really love the history behind
Yeah.
how Thomas Edison made the light bulb and, the like, I forget the word, but I always have his quote in mind when I ever, get something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was I failed 99 times creating the light bulb, but I found one way to create it.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the exact quote. But
Yeah, I like Edison too, so.
Fruit mutations or mutations
Yes.
of crops.
Like
or-
Yeah, you
CRISPR
can,
editing.
They have,
I'm pretty sure they found out a way to make
Genetic.
meat into
they have
Yes.
pear apples now.
What?
They're amazing.
Oh, yeah, the Asian pears?
They're
We
amazing.
love those. We've got a
They're
couple of those
so
trees, yeah.
Amazing.
So in the interest, because I can't take the whole time, my favorite invention, the rubber O-ring.
Nobody said ice cream.
But for good reason, because ice cream is inferior to gelato. Gelato is much superior to
Yes,
ice cream.
I'm here for a month. It's amazing.
Yeah, much better texture, really good flavor.
Yeah, and then it's very rich too. It's
Yes.
awesome.
But think about custard.
Like the strawberry ice cream
Frozen custard's
on
good.
itself could be like a whole meal. It is
Oh,
awesome.
yeah. So, the rubber O-ring. These things are everywhere. They're in military aircraft. They're in spacecraft. They're in the launch platforms for the spacecraft. They are in your cars. Every car that you came in today has O-rings in it. They are in, these things are called pill fobs. And the waterproof ones have O-rings in them. The flashlights, got one there. There's an O-ring on that.
I don't have one.
They're used everywhere, but the thing that makes me so excited about them is the fact that they have 3 critical dimensions. The distance from one side to the other on the inside of the O-ring, the same distance from the outside across it, and then similar distance of what they call the cross-section. Yeah, good. I'm so lucky that we have a demonstration one.
Fingernails.
Okay, I'll use my fingers now. So, one of the dimensions is across here, one of them is across here, and then the other one is across here. When they manufacture O-rings, particularly the ones for automobiles, motorcycles, where waterproof is important, the tolerances, when they produce those, are within like 1,000th of an inch. And when they produce them at that level of accuracy and repeatability, they still sell them. I was looking on Amazon this morning. You can buy 200 of them for $10.
Sorry, John. Yeti makes a solid product. I can't get it off.
Inventions. What?
So, lots of good ideas in here. Cars, obviously. And the thing is that cars are an invention, but everything in a car is also an invention.
Yeah.
The car door,
There's a seat,
the seats, the material on the seats,
fiberglass,
the wires that go for the electronics themselves.
gas.
Oops, no, sorry. The wheel. It's been around for so long, nobody thinks about it, but the wheel is tens of thousands of years old. But it was an invention, and it was a revolutionary invention. There are very few inventions that have lasted in the same basic form for so long. Another one that people don't always think about, Barbie dolls. Barbie is an invention, very successful invention. Nobody knows what that one is. That's my invention. I actually presented on this last year. That is, everybody know what dice are?
Yeah.
Anybody know about Dungeons and Dragons?
Not too much.
Okay, so in Dungeons and Dragons, they have not just the regular dice that you recognize, they have 7 different dice that have different numbers of sides. They've got 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 20, and sometimes they do 100, and sometimes it's 2 10-sided dice. The challenge that I ran into was I wanted to do Dungeons and Dragons again, because my boy is old enough now that he wants to do Dungeons and Dragons. But there are basically 3 categories of dice when you're getting a full set. There's the stuff that's cheap, there's the stuff that's relatively cheap and looks good, and there's the stuff that is not cheap but also looks good. The first 2 are not random because of how cheap they are. They've got internal voids, they've got, casting marks around the outside, so they are biased to particular numbers. And because I'm a geek and I study security and randomness is really important in security, I wanted really random dice. But I didn't want to spend what it costs to get a good set of really random dice. Basically, the best ones are milled out of aluminum. If you're really cool, you get the titanium ones. But those are solid on the inside. They're machined to really tight tolerances, and they're like 80 to 100 bucks for a set of 7. I didn't want to spend that. So, I developed that. And it's another one of these things, everything that you're looking at there is an invention. And so I produced this for myself, and it's got buttons on it. You can select which dice you want to roll and how many of them you are, and you hit the button and it'll give you a number. That is my son's invention. And his was not quite as serious an idea. He wanted to have something cool for his Valentine's box at school. And so we talked about this, and he wanted to do, the original was, he wanted to have something to like count the, really 5? No, I gotta shut up then. He wanted to count the Valentines as they came in. We added in a feature where it was going to like say thank you or something. But that's Alex's. Inventors. I don't know my head's shadowing. All right, so anybody know who this is? Thomas Edison, very prolific. He had, at the time of his death, over 1,000 patents. Things that he had invented, and they were actually new things, enough that the government certified and said, this is new, and they gave him effectively a monopoly for 17 years or something. This guy is equally important, but less well known to you guys. This is Tim Berners-Lee. He is the inventor of the World Wide Web.
I've heard of them.
Yep. She's famous, but not for this reason. That is Hedy Lamarr. She was an actress in a bunch of very popular movies. What people don't tend to know about her is that during World War II, she invented something called frequency hopping spread spectrum. This was a military thing originally, and the idea was they were going to use this in order to combat enemy jamming of the radios. And the way that she did it in this was, instead of broadcasting on one specific frequency, which, you know, if you do that, the enemy can come up, they can broadcast louder and nobody can hear it. So what she said was, let's broadcast for a little bit on this channel, a little bit on this channel, hop back and forth across, and so they don't know when you're broadcasting on which channel, and it's a bunch of them so they can't block them all. And it's a really important thing, and it's still used in forms today. Bluetooth uses a form of this. So very important, and it was actually a very critical thing for the war effort. There's two guys here, don't care about the guy on the right. I don't know whether he's an inventor or not. The guy on the left getting the award is Ralph Baer. He was the inventor of the video game console. Yeah,
Well, how much money you got for that?
probably not very much.
Well,
This is Annie Malone. She was, and yeah, very few people have heard of her. She was an inventor of a line of cosmetics and hair products for African American women. And she did this at around the turn of the century, maybe into the beginning of the close, maybe into the 20s. And so this was a time where women weren't really doing inventing, particularly not African American women. So there was a huge amount of courage involved in her innovations and running a business. And at the time, I believe I read that she ended up being the wealthiest African American woman in the country.
Nice.
And I'm going to apologize, I struggle with this guy's name. This is Praveen Kumar Gorakavi. And amongst a whole bunch of other things that he's invented, he invented a low-cost typewriter for the blind. So it would type Braille. And they had them, but they were all expensive. And he came up with a design that drastically lowered the cost. Yeah, I supposedly only had 15 minutes, and I've been on for a long time. So I'm going to go through the rest of this really quickly. And again, if you've got questions after this, you can tell. I love to talk. So why do inventors invent? Some of them invent for fun. It's cool. I enjoy doing this. Some of them do it out of curiosity. I wonder how this works. In my case, it was necessity. I wanted to do this. There wasn't something else out there that would do it, so I made it myself. There are people who invent for companies. Their job is to invent. And I've got a coworker that I would have loved to have put in here, but I didn't have time to ask his permission. His job is to invent, which is really kind of sweet. And then there's folks, anybody know who this is? Yeah, this is Dyson.
My friend's uncle, I think, is an entrepreneur. And
Yep.
It's really cool.
Yep. Some people do it because they're good at inventing, and instead of working for somebody else, making money for somebody else, they make money for themselves. Quick through the inventing process, the first bit is what they call ideation. Come up with an idea. I love this quote. The best way to have good ideas is to have lots of ideas. A good analogy to that is in the professional photography space. The good photographers get one good picture for about every 10 that they take. And those are the people who are professionals who do this over the years. Next thing, you need to analyze your ideas. is it possible? Is it practical? What's the cost going to be? How long is it going to take? And then you build. You do, whatever the first thing is. I screwed up typing that. And then you do it over and over and over and over until you get it as right as it needs to be. Which leads me into things to consider. Most importantly, know yourself. Know what you want out of inventing. Know what the borders are of what you're going to invent, how much money you want to spend, how much time you want to spend. You've got to know if you need to have somebody else help. Sometimes you need to pay attention to make sure you don't make something that's too complex. The very popular KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. We were talking about the Edison quote. I actually, because I'm wired this way, went back and researched to find out what the actual quote was, because I saw a lot of different versions. What Edison said was, I have gotten a lot of results. I know several thousand things that won't work. And this was in response to somebody who had said, how does it feel to have failed? I think it was 700 times was the amount. And he says, I didn't fail. Failure isn't failure. Failure is successfully proving that this thing won't work. And then you move on to the next one until you find one that does.
Failure is a sign that you're learning.
Yes. And you can't learn without failure. Now, what I keep telling the kids is learn from your own failure. That's good. Learning from somebody else's failure is even better. You don't have to make your own mistakes. Think about your audience. If you're inventing just for yourself, you can spend what you want, you can spend the time you want, you don't have to worry about release dates. If you're inventing for your friends, then you have to start thinking about what do they want, how many problems are they willing to put up with. But if you're inventing for selling, then you have price points, you have safety, you have security, you have reliability, you have warranty claims. You have to make sure that what you invented wasn't invented by somebody else. And because I need to give Alex some time, I'll take questions later.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate your comment.
Thank you.
Now,